Do you know who you are? Have you often wondered what people really mean when they say know thyself? To know thyself is to establish personal boundaries. This is what we call principled assertiveness. But how do we establish these boundaries? We must know the basics, what we like and what we don't like, what we want and what we don't want. The first principle: we must be honest with ourselves in all ways in order to begin building boundaries. Don't cheat yourself by lying or making excuses for things you may not like but just don't want to face them. The second step: write out a physical list of pros and cons, what you like, what you don't like, as well as what you want and what you don't want. We have a free worksheet download on our website that you can use for this exercise. Use it as many times as you need to. Start with the simple things. With people, who do you like? Who do you not like? After you go through people, start with things such as, I like tomatoes, I don't like liver. I like being around other people. I don't like when people are dishonest with me. I like being outside in the sunshine with my bare feet in the grass. I don't like wearing socks and shoes. I want to be happy. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I want to build a family. I don't want to be alone. These sound really simple, but this is exactly how you're going to get started knowing yourself. The object is to understand yourself on the deepest level so that no one can permeate your boundary if you don't allow it. By knowing what you like, what you want, and what you don't like and don't want, you know where your lines are drawn. Be assertive with these boundaries that you've built and make sure you don't break them to yourself. This is like a promise you make to you. It's important to keep our promises to anyone, but most certainly to ourselves. For without ourselves, we cannot help anyone else. Have you ever heard the phrase, you must fill up your own bucket before you can fill anyone else's buckets? We must take care of ourselves in a healthy way. Your aura is strong, but awareness and principled assertiveness are needed to maintain these boundaries. Having principles in your life creates an armor around you. Put on the full armor of God. This is how we armor ourselves against uncertainty, confusion, and illusions. By knowing ourselves, we have armored ourselves with the truth. Ephesians 6:10 through 18. Finally, be strong in the Lord and his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand, stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, and pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people. How do we armor ourselves? By knowing ourselves. Be principled in the sole element of honesty that generates acceptance. Patience generates tolerance. Awareness generates ethics and consideration. Generosity generates altruism. Consciousness generates life. Humbleness generates humility. Forgiveness generates sympathy. And compassion generates empathy. Let's break it down. Create a list honestly so that you may accept yourself as you are, scary or not, of what you like, don't like, and what you want and what you don't want. This is very important. Have the patience to tolerate the process. Looking at ourselves is scary and not easy to do. This is why many avoid the whole thing completely. Avoidance is an addiction, so be careful. Have awareness, and the divine ethics and consideration will begin to show up in ways you couldn't fathom. When you notice yourself being aware of something new, you're experiencing your consciousness, which generates life. The life force that pushes you forward to grow and be even more aware, building on these ethics and divine principles. Be generous to others within reason. Don't overextend yourself, as this is unfair, and fairness activates our luck. Be generous with yourself. Don't be too harsh or hard on yourself during this process of self-discovery. Give yourself time and be kind. Altruism is a service to others with zero expectations of anything in return. Do everything with a happy attitude. Your energy is felt regardless, so guard yourself and quell the chaos of the emotions. Be kind to yourself. Be humble in all that you do. This must be balanced. Forgive yourself, which generates sympathy, meaning understand yourself at the core of your being. Interview yourself. Why did I do this thing? What was I expecting the outcome to be? Again, be honest. This is the only way to get to the core of you. Be compassionate with yourself, which generates empathy. You can feel everything deeply within that inner standing of yourself. Feel the emotions that you experience and review them on a normal basis. Ask yourself, was I fair in how I reacted or responded in this particular situation? You are the only one that can transform your emotions. As you grow in these soul elements, you can see how they intertwine. They all balance each other when we are aware of how they function within us. If you've watched our earlier videos on the soul and our soul elements, you know that there are 7 entities that make up our human existence. First is our soul, guided by our free will, our soul satellite, and our soul built our physical body that is infused with spirit, the life giver, our emotions that are transformable, our mind dwells around hope and balances our needs around growth, significance, contribution, adoration, curiosity, courage, certainty, and uncertainty. And last but not least, the ego, living in the significance portion of the mind, is an extra tool that's given to us to help us control our emotions and assist in mating and procreation. Observe yourself. Review past conversations. Ask yourself if you reacted or responded in a fair way. Were you fair in how you reacted to this person? Was it fair to them? Was it fair to you? Remember that you are the only one that can control you 100% of the time and 0% of your environment. Our actions, reactions, and responses can make or break a situation in the blink of an eye. These are the conversations we need to have with ourselves in order to become more aware, which generates ethics in these situations. How can we be more considerate towards others? And how honesty brings in trust and builds our reputation in any relationship. Without these, there are no real relationships. Lies, harsh words, broken promises, betrayal, and threats are like cannonballs to a ship. They sink the ship of the relationship, for they damage your character and the relationship sinks. It's hard to patch the holes unless you know where to look. It is important for us to be responsible for our actions, our words, for our sound, manifest in reality. Whether it is a lie that vibrates into the future truth or loving intentions we speak over our loved ones, these words vibrate into existence, for sound creates all. Through the intention of our free will, we command things into existence unknowingly all the time. We need to be aware of our words, for they are like a double-edged sword, destructive or constructive. The choice is ours. Energy and motion, anger, fear, and anxiety. I cannot create nor destroy them. I can only transform them. The vibrations in limbo, like frustration or panic attack, I can either transfer it or transmute it. Where do I go with it? 2 places, to either anger or fear. Now I have energy that I can transfer into constructive power, destructive power, or hold it back inwards, being passive with it, or fight or flight. It is your decision in conjunction with your free will, the power of intuition. The need of courage in the mind is what's needed to get out of anxiety. Let's recap. What do you do after you make your list? You notice where you should establish your boundaries based on the outcome of your list. If you don't reach any clear boundaries, you're not done yet. Keep adding to the list as you're aware of certain things until you're able to identify the clear boundaries you need to set for yourself. A guide of principles that you won't break. I will not tolerate someone yelling at me. I will search to diffuse the situation by reacting in a calm manner. These things do take time. Again, be gentle with yourself, as it takes practice to allow the ego and spirit to work together to calm those emotions in ourselves, to react and respond in a loving way, kind and compassionate, for every living being is a soul. The goal here is to be balanced, or rather, equilibrized, in your soul elements, as well as your 7 entities: the soul, free will, the body, emotions, spirit, mind, and ego. They are all parts of you. Our ultimate purpose in life is to find joy. I'll leave you with the secret formula to a joyful life. Act to the best of your ability in your highest joy, in whatever form it comes, in every moment that you can, out of all the options available to you. Take it as far as you can take it until you can take it no further, and continue to do that every chance you get, with absolutely zero insistence, assumptions, or expectations of what we desire the outcome to be. Your being can be balanced. It can be equilibrized when all elements are utilized properly. Please feel free to reach out to Ion and me if we can honestly and fairly help you with any questions or how to work through certain situations to know yourself so deeply that you may be able to pass this information on to others. Thank you so much for watching, and please let us know how we can help.